Are there children in your class who always have trouble remembering instructions, who constantly avoid reading and writing tasks, and are slow to complete any literacy-related tasks? Although students will differ in their characteristics, these students may also have difficulty in a number of areas, which consequently may cause them to read and write slowly and disfluently. A reading difficulty or disability is a neurological and language-based learning difficulty, mostly affecting a student's reading. Students who experience difficulty in reading have trouble specifically with the phonetic knowledge, which in turn affects students' word recognition, spelling, and decoding. This difficulty may also affect students' reading comprehension and vocabulary. Students who struggle to read in the early years of primary school are likely to have ongoing and increasing long-term effects. Stanovic described the effect of early reading skills on students' cognitive development as the Matthew effect. The Matthew effect suggests the biblical idea that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The students who experience success in their reading develop their foundational skills. They enjoy reading and get lots of practice, so they begin to develop automaticity. Their vocabulary grows and they are more motivated to read, which sets in motion an upward spiral. In contrast, students who have difficulty reading develop fewer foundational skills. They are less likely to enjoy reading, so they don't get enough practice. Therefore, they don't develop automaticity. They have poor vocabulary growth, which affects their motivation to read, and thus a spiral downward is created. Years later, the gap between these students can become quite large. So the question is, why have we not always taught explicit phonics instruction? Arguments are that not every student needs the same amount of instruction to be able to read. However, being taught the foundations of reading is essential for students with a reading difficulty. A number of major studies have proven the importance of explicit instruction to students' learning, and in particular teaching the 5 key components of the reading process: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Research conducted in 2005 found that explicit teaching of alphabetic decoding skills is helpful for all children, harmful for none, and crucial for some. Explicit instruction helps students to interact, understand, and comprehend written language. It provides students with an essential skill set that allows them to decode text independently. The Disability Discrimination Act 1992 and the Disability Standards for Education 2005 underpin the values that students with a disability have the same rights as all other students. The Australian curriculum supports teachers to meet their obligations under the Act and standards by providing them with advice to ensure that all students with a disability are able to participate in the Australian curriculum on the same basis as their peers through rigorous, meaningful, and dignified learning programs. Thankfully, in recent years, we have realised that reading is a complex learnt skill and that explicit phonics instruction is beneficial for all early readers. So how do teachers identify reading difficulties? Teachers do not need a clinical diagnosis of a learning disability to provide students with support. For a diagnosis of a learning disability, it is necessary to identify that a student is experiencing a significant level of difficulty in a particular area of learning and is provided with explicit instruction that forms the basis of intervention and targets the area in which the student is struggling. A teacher is able to screen their students to identify any areas of concern in a student's learning or development and establish a suitable intervention. Screening can take many forms, from informal observations completed by the teacher and information from the parents, to more formal assessments such as running records, phonological assessment, and word recognition tests. Intervention is crucial for any student who is at risk of literacy failure, and it is most effective when provided early in a student's learning. In recent years, a 3-tier model of reading instruction has been acknowledged as an effective model for early identification and intervention. This model is known as the Response to Intervention model. Response to Intervention is a multi-tiered model in which students are assessed by universal screening and provided with evidence-based reading instruction. Each tier continuously monitors students' progress and provides differing intensities of support. In the Tier 1 intervention, all students are provided with explicit instruction of the 5 key components of reading. Those who require more support receive Tier 2 intervention in small groups. If the first 2 tiers are still unsuccessful, children may be provided with more intense one-to-one intervention in Tier 3. So you may ask, what are some evidence-based strategies to help students with reading difficulties? Evidence shows that students are assisted best in learning to read if they are provided with explicit, systematic phonics instruction. However, in implementing this instruction, it is important to keep the end in mind and ensure that students are able to apply their skills in their daily reading and writing activities. Research has proven that an integrated and multisensory approach to reading that explicitly teaches the 5 key reading components is most effective for all students, as all students learn and remember best when engaged on multiple levels. Evidence-based systematic literacy programs include Sounds Right, a linguistic phonics program aimed as a whole-school approach to teaching literacy for lower primary and as an intervention program for students in upper primary, Multi-Lit Reading Tutor and Mini-Lit Early Intervention programs to provide explicit remedial programs for a range of ages, and Jolly Phonics, a multisensory synthetic phonics program which provides teaching content and activities for reading and spelling, covering letter sounds and spelling patterns. With early intervention and explicit teaching instruction, we can help students with reading difficulties achieve in school and life.